We love rookies. Who are Dave's favorite rookies at their current values? We'll tell you right now on FFT Express. All right. So, yeah, it'd be easy to say these are our favorite rookies, but we're going to look at it with ADP in mind as well. And it's July 22nd. ADP is going to change a lot. But what'd you come up with? You want to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 here?
No, I'm going to go in order of ADP, and I'm going to pass on. I'm not saying I'm going to pass on drafting Ashton Genty and Omarion Hampton, but those are two guys. I think the consensus is going to be very, very high on those two. So I'm skipping them. We're not even going to talk about them, but we are going to talk about Travis Hunter, who's going as a late 5 pick in full PPR. I'm on board with that. I think he's absolutely going to get good target volume, more of a short and intermediate target for Jacksonville. What he did at Colorado after the catch was absolutely amazing. Huge numbers, high catch rate, going to get a lot of passes going his way, and he's going to try and catch them all. He will have some games, Adam. You will get to make your Pokemon joke. 8 targets, 8 catches, good numbers to go along with it. A lot of hype around Travis Hunter, but I still think he's going to come through as a borderline wide receiver too, that you can draft in that round 5, round 6 range and feel pretty good about.
All right. I'll give you some Travis Hunter ors. Travis Hunter or Devontae Smith.
I'm going to go Hunter over Smith.
Okay. Let's just hope Dallas Goedert doesn't get hurt. Then might regret that.
We would regret that. Yes.
Travis Hunter or Cortland Sutton.
Of course, if Brian Thomas Jr. were to get hurt, we'd rather have Travis Hunter. We can play that game that way. Who's the name you gave?
It doesn't matter. Cortland Sutton.
Cortland Sutton. Why does that not matter? I do like Sutton more than Hunter.
Yeah. Okay. How about next rookie on the list?
TreVeyon Henderson. His ADP on Fantasy Pros, I believe it's right around the 5-6 turn. I think in full PPR, he'll be worth that. And I don't expect him to be the feature back for New England, at least certainly not to start the year. Maybe he morphs into that role around midseason, but I do think he's going to catch a ton of passes. I think that that's a strength that he brings into the National Football League. We'll see how many carries he can take away from Ramondre Stevenson. Wouldn't surprise me if by Halloween he was getting more playing time and more carries. Will he work the goal line ahead of Ramondre Stevenson? That's something that I'm nervous about. He didn't do a ton of that in college, but I think he's a very talented running back, and in full PPR, I think he can get you close to 14 PPR points per game, and he'll have some weeks where he just absolutely busts out, kind of in the mold of a Knowshon Moreno type of running back. And that type of player is who did very well with Josh McDaniels in Denver. It was Knowshon who did well with Josh McDaniels in Denver. I'm thinking that McDaniels is going to try and make that the ceiling for TreVeyon Henderson. Just won't rush there to do it. I would take TreVeyon Henderson with a top 65-ish pick.
Henderson or DeAndre Swift?
Henderson for me.
Henderson or David Montgomery?
It's going to be close, but I'm going to lean Montgomery as of now.
Okay. Let's get number 3 on your list.
We're going way down in ADP now. These next 3 players all have an ADP of over 90th, maybe even 100th, depending on where you look. We talked about Emeka Egbuka on the main show. I'm not going to get into it much more now, but precise route runner, can line up anywhere and make an impact on the field, could be the slot guy for Tampa right away in week 1. We don't know when Chris Godwin is going to be back to his old self. I think that matters more than whatever you want to say about Mike Evans and him getting old. But he's going to be the guy that ends up stepping into an even larger opportunity if Godwin isn't ready to go, if Godwin is limited, if Godwin or Evans misses time during the season. And I think Egbuka is just an NFL-ready, route-running, good hands type of receiver that can help fantasy managers. And his ADP it's a dream at this point.
Push back on that a little. I don't think it's a dream. I think it's appropriate. 117th. I don't know. I don't really feel like I'm getting a steal there for a guy who could
I think he could end up being a steal.
Well, he could. Yeah, no, he could end up being a steal. Absolutely. Sure. But I also think he could end up being a bust. I think he could be droppable, which is probably the case. No. Look, I don't think that. Let's say, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think Michael Pittman could end up being a steal. People might disagree with me on this, but I don't really think Brandon Ayuk could end up being a steal.
Nope.
And those are the guys that are going right around Egbuka. So if you want to just look at upside, maybe Egbuka has it, and rookie wide receivers often outperform their ADP. But I mentioned JSN on the other show that we did. He had 93 targets as a rookie behind Metcalf and Lockett. I could see that reality for Egbuka, and 93 targets is going to be a guy who's on and off the waiver wire, I think.
You're probably right. And if that comes to pass, that means that whoever drafts Mike Evans and Chris Godwin should be very happy with what they get out of him this year.
Okay. Buka's a really exciting player, though.
He's very exciting and just tons of contingency upside.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Because it's not like there are ways that don't necessarily involve a guy leaving with an injury or whatever for him to step up. Okay. Let's take a break. And we got two more rookies that Dave likes at their ADPs after this. Back on FFT Express. All right, we've got so far Travis Hunter, TreVeyon Henderson, Emeka Egbuka. Who's next?
I'm going to combine the last two, Adam, because they're both tight ends, and you already know who they are. If I'm combining two rookie tight ends based on ADP, it's Tyler Warren, who's going, according to Fantasy Pros, at 115.2, and Colston Loveland with the Bears, who's going 117.7. So they're both in that round 10 range. I do like Warren better. I think he's going to see more targets. I think there's a chance he leads the Colts in all the receiving categories this year. I think he is that good. I think the Colts wide receivers just aren't that good. But I see the talent in both of them, and they're both different. Loveland, to me, is much more of a finesse receiver. He can win on the seam downfield. It's just a matter of target crunch for him because he's sharing with DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, DeAndre Swift. Chicago's offense, still kind of a question mark. I think it's an upgrade, obviously, with Ben Johnson and his play calling and play designs, but Caleb Williams does have to come through. We don't know if that's something that we can just absolutely guarantee. The quarterback situation in Indianapolis is even worse, but I think Tyler Warren isn't there to necessarily work the seam all the time. I think he's going to be a short area target who can bounce off defenders and add yards after the catch. And that's something that I think the Colts have kind of been missing in their offense, certainly in the red zone when they want to throw, not necessarily when they're inside the 3, but more when they're from call it the 5-yard line all the way back to the 20. They need somebody who can win regularly in the red zone. I think Warren can do that for them. And these are both guys that have tons of upside and low ADP, just like Egbuka, where if they end up not working out for you, all right, it sucks, but it's a round 10 pick. Or maybe their ADP goes up and it's a round 9 pick, and you can find another tight end off the waiver wire. Or you can draft one of these tight ends with a veteran tight end, have 2 tight ends on your team to start the year, and hope that one of the 2 tight ends ends up being good for your fantasy team. I can't tell you how many teams I've drafted with Tucker Kraft and Tyler Warren. Those 2 guys seem to be my guys when I don't get a good value on one of the, top 7 or 8 tight ends at the beginning of my draft.
What is better value, David Njoku in round 9, or let's call him 8-9 turn, or these rookies in round 10?
I'll take Njoku because we've seen it from him literally anytime over the last 2 years when he's been on the field with a quarterback not named Deshaun Watson. He's been money. And I mean, we talked about this on the main show. What could it look like in Cleveland if they begin the year with Kenny Pickett as their starting quarterback or Dylan Gabriel as their starting quarterback? They're on Shedeur Sanders as well. I think that's going to be worse for the wide receivers, but not so much for Njoku because his role in that offense isn't to run downfield all the time. He's running a lot of shorter routes. Those are easier throws for any quarterback to make. And so I think Njoku could still be okay with Pickett or Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders. Of course, with Joe Flacco, I think he'd be best off. I think the receivers would be too in Cleveland, just as an aside. But I think Njoku at this point, he's won us over in fantasy and deserves to be drafted as better than a player that goes at 90th overall.
Okay. Thank you very much to Dave Richard. This is FFT Express, and we'll talk to you tomorrow with another episode. See you later.